Okay, so we speak on multiple issues at Jacobit's Learning, but now we're going to deal with something I'm seeing um, consistent with some of the people who come in this building. But before we can give out this advice, let's look at we have financial advisor licenses and 215 licenses. And the 215 allows you to sell health and life insurance. But let's be clear as to what's going on. And if you ever want to look up um, a person's number, this first part of my national insurance producer, the registry is what they call it, that's the number. And towards the end, I'll give you the full number that we are licensed. We took classes, we took certifications. We have to maintain um, certification on how to write policies in America. And we've also written some policies for people who are transcontinental. So if you're gestational or you're bicoastal, tricoastal, this and that, let's say you live in India half the year, let's say you're coming over as a student, let's say you can come over as a student right now, you can always look up things and see what you can do with health insurance. A lot of students do use the university's health system, but if you're 26, well, let's say you're between the ages of 18 and 26, now is really a time to get very, very low rates for life insurance. And I would encourage that just because of some of the things we're seeing. Now, these words here, immediate wealth, we're not trying to create immediate wealth. We're not telling you that wealth is going to be immediate under no circumstances. And keep in mind the term wealthy has a different meaning for different people, because some people will say wealthy is 6 million and above, and some people will say I am still in a hole because I need to bring in 7 million. So the term is relative. What we are doing is talking about increasing monthly income for retirement, or increasing the amount of income you can obtain. Let's say if you ran into some problems, as what happened to me, and you wanted to borrow something, and like one of the problems we ran into is just this and that, we wanted to expand our business, so you take out a loan from your policy, and then you have like a couple of years to pay it back, and they just add a little bit of amount on. So for instance, if you take out like a $30,000 loan, they might add $200 until you pay it off. Might take you 5 years because they prorate it. So if you're, again, think about this, because you may decide at age 30 you're going to start your own business. May say I need it, and they'll ask you, what are you using it for? Business purpose. And then you can take it out. Okay, so we're demonstrating these methods. We've already discussed that, and we've already talked about this. We have in-network hospital. Some of the insurance policies are in-network and some are out of network. But if you come here and you have a policy that has an American number, and you have one. Some of you are maybe in parts of India where the policies cross over and they're already transcontinental, and maybe you don't need this. But let's say you have policies in India and Pakistan, um, Jordan, Bangladesh, anywhere, China, Japan, Nigeria, Haiti, anywhere, and you want to come and use them here, we do have those policies available to you. Okay, now when we look at health insurance, we are looking, what they look at is your age. Sometimes they look at your health history. This is for life insurance. Okay. And health insurance looks at it too, and sometimes they give you a higher rate. But guess what? Some of your life insurance policies you may only need for what reason? You may only need, if you're only here 3 months out of the year, you may want to do life insurance, and then the policy still gains value for you. And American companies generally don't care, as long as you're paying on the policy where you're from, as long as they are allowed to legally take your money, which we have several companies that we were. These occupations, high risk employment. When I got one of my policies, I had asked, did I plan to bungee jump? Did I plan to fly an airplane more than 3,000 miles? What's my eyesight? And again, they look at these things and they may give you a test, but that's not This is really only going to pertain to about 12% of the population who would call us. So it's not such a big idea. And also, number of existing policies, because if you can't afford to pay, say you have four and you can only afford to pay for three, I'm laughing because, or chuckling because we had some people like myself in that position. You could only pay for three at a time, and then you were like, hey, I want to do a fourth because I want to add to my net worth. Companies look at that. So this is the first thing about obtaining life insurance policies. Thanks for looking at us. Okay, so here's what brought this up. If you're over 80 at home, it could be up to 1,000. It doesn't have to be a straight 1,000. It could be 350, depending upon how you took care of things. It could be, but this is up to. Okay, this is on average the cost. This includes food, water, shelter, medicine. And maybe you need somebody to help you take a shower because you don't want to fall. Maybe someone should be in there. You have to do private duty care. So that would all be included in this too. Minor health issues, 300 to 500. Medicare A and B is original Medicare, and it does still exist. And they take out, and some people, they take the money out of, they call it insurance premium, and they take it out of a portion of it out before they pay you the Medicare payment. But even still, when you go to various doctors, let's say you go to 6 doctors, and they have a copay of $50 each. That's where that 300 is coming from. Let's say you don't go to 6 doctors, you only go to 1, you only go to 1 every other time, then it's not. This again is just an average. This is not for every single person. It's not how it works for everybody. Some people who are over 80 are a lot healthier than you and I combined. And not only healthier, they or they may have neighbors and friends or doctors and lawyers who cost them nothing. Okay? Major health issues, Medicare A and B, you're getting into. Keep in mind, for a while, we did have that nephrology. We did have this. These are like extras. Let's say you need a nurse to come and help you. Let's say you got a bronchodilator and you have a memory issue and you can't, remember how to put it on. You might have to pay somebody to come in once or twice a week, maybe 20 an hour, they stay with you. So if you're at 20 an hour and they stay with you let's say they stay only 4 hours, okay, a day, 20 at 4 days. I'm so sorry about my writing. Yeah, he got it. Says $80 per day times 5. That's where this is at the low end. Times 5 is 400. Okay, so major health issues, 500, too exorbitant. It's really not funny, but it is. Let's say you slip and fall, this and that. You do have rehabilitation. You do have this. And then when you go home, you have skilled medical care for a while. And then after that, after a certain amount of days, I think it's like 180 days total if you're at a skilled facility. If you're at a rehabilitation center, and this isn't rehabilitation as in as in over-the-counter drugs, as an opioid use or anything like that. This is rehabilitation for if you slip and fall. And even if you're 67 and over, this still stands. You get 180 days total, and then you have a cycle. You have a break there. Hopefully you won't break some bones twice in a year, and then you have a break, and then you get another 180 days. That's how original Medicare used to work. And when I say used to, I mean up until now. This part hasn't been changed. I'm saying used to in case it changes in the past, but as it is now, currently as of December 13th, 2025, that's how it is. Another 180 days. And so as long as you wait and, nothing happens, and then they're always allowed to, they have to take care of you. You have a 21-day break in between these, slip and fall or major medical. Okay, and then they're supposed to take care of you. But if you don't have this and you don't have any other insurance, and this includes without any other insurance too, okay, without any other insurance, you're coming high end out of your pocket. And here, you can get help at a living facility with a long-term care policy. Okay? And I think in the next video, I'll talk to you about what long-term care policies do. And, this is what it costs. Long-term care policy will pay this, or they'll pay up to a fraction of. Let's say you have a $200,000 policy. $200,000 policy is $20,000 per year. So $20,000 per year is not going to exactly pay the whole thing, but let's just say you get a bit of a break if they did. So for instance, at $20,000, somebody is actually paying that for you. Divided by 12, that's $1,666. Okay, so then if they put out $1,667 or so dollars, because it's $1,666.66, if they put out $1,666.67, it brings the amount down. Okay, so a lot of people, and as I think about this, maybe I need to get my long-term care up. We in America, it's already been said, we're going to be at a windfall. So we're going to have to do something about this. And a lot of people wanted to say they wanted to get healthcare revamped and, things done differently. But that means you're now out of pocket $5,633. So if your retirement is not $5,633, this and that, you want to go to a long-term care facility, this is like taking on a whole nother mortgage, and this is where people are starting to lose. Okay, so that's why we're starting to get long-term care policies. You don't need a whole long-term care policy. You can also get an insurance policy, and you can put a long-term care rider, and then let's say you do slip and fall, you want to use a policy for this, and you want to do something, that policy, let's say if you bought a $500,000 policy, that policy would now be less. So I'm going to go over on the slide how that policy would work for you and how it's possible to do. Please keep in mind, this is if you have a $500,000 policy, and this is the policy total. Excuse me, I drew that kind of separately. This is the policy total. And if you have 500,000 and you have 20 years of need, and notice I went back on years. I started at 78 because we're living longer. 78 to 98. Okay, your policy now will come out to 7,000. Would pay seven. Well, you can take out. This is per month living. This isn't the policy. I'm sorry about that. This is what the policy will pay. Okay? Now, this is what you have to come up with. And this is a situation. A lot of people don't have the 4,028. So unfortunately, they have to find an alternative method, and that includes having someone come and feed you, help you, clothe you, bathe you, help you get to sleep, and then this and that. And sometimes that takes care at $24 an hour, $24 an hour. And that then can be, you're only doing like 5 days a week. So, you're doing like 24 times 5 is 120 times, $24 times 5, 7 days a week is $840. So that's not bad. But times month is 3,360, which if you think about it, 3,360 is only how much less than 4,028, is only really going to be about $668 less than what you're already paying. So a lot of people say if I go and live at an assisted living facility, my food, water, activities, they all come with that. And for $668 more per month, it might be worth it. But these are some of the challenges that people are having. And that's why here in this office, we were pushing life insurance, and we were pushing individual, we were pushing universal index policies, because we found a lot of people come by and they say, my husband, my son, my daughter, they bought the company paid insurance for them, but that company insurance is really based on it's really based on what the company owns and not what you, the individual, owns. And that's just how some companies do things, so they can write things off. And you have to really look at what kind of policy it is. You'll even see it, and they'll say, oh, it's a term policy, and they'll say term to life, 20 years, and you'll think it's whole life, but it isn't. So you really have to read the fine lines on the wall. Here's my entire number, and if anyone wants to get a hold of me, you have my email address. If you have any questions, please give me about anywhere from 6 hours to 24 hours to get back to you. Thank you.